All right, welcome back to Onebar and Lupagus show. I am Lupagus. Yesterday we talked about 5 offensive targets for the Vikings at the East-West Shrine Bowl. Let's flip the coin and look at some 5 defensive prospects from the same game and the same week of practice. Before we do, be sure to get yourself the Lumberjack. Today's your last day. Use the link in the description. Get that bad boy for $30. Trim your nose hair, trim your ass hairs, trim your ball hairs, trim your mustache. Whatever you want to do, the Lumberjack can do that. Make you feel unbelievably clean and unbelievably shorn as well. From Happy Nuts, the Lumberjack, link in the description. All right. Yeah, let's talk about some defensive prospects who are at the East-West Shrine Bowl. Some guys the Vikings should look at positions of need. Let's go to kind of an underrated need, linebacker Kayden Delo from Florida State. Let's pull his stats up. This guy has been just viewed as one of the most, not just athletic defenders down there, but athletic players overall. Look at his numbers from last year. 68 total tackles, 10 and a half of those for a loss, 7 sacks. This is a guy who can just fly through the holes, attack the ball carrier in the backfield, go after the quarterback, go sideline to sideline. Dude's got some range. So, yeah, Kayden Delo, interesting prospect. Again, and maybe a little more of an underrated need inside linebacker for the Vikings, but definitely somebody they need to consider and take a long look at. Let's go with another, maybe not the sexiest name, but a guy who's down there from Clemson, and that is Xavier Thomas, the defensive end, lineman, edge rusher, wherever you want to put this guy. But you look at his numbers, especially last year, 3 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, 25 total tackles. This dude is super, super raw, right? I mean, he has basically no pass rushing moves, no technicality to his game. He's just this raw piece of meat that the Vikings can take. Probably get him later because he's so damn raw. Form him, groom him, teach him, and let him develop on your probably on your practice squad. Maybe he makes the roster, but again, a guy you'd look to develop down the road, probably gonna be a later round pick, but a lot to work with here as far as tools go for Xavier Thomas. His size, how big he actually is, looking like he is 6'2" and 244 pounds, so right in that edge rusher kind of body frame there. Let's go to another need for the Vikings, and let's go to the defensive line. One of the bigger names really in attendance at the East-West Shrine Bowl, and that is the big defensive tackle from Miami, Leonard Taylor. Again, this is a guy you do these mock draft simulators. He's going either late first, early second. He's got a nice big frame. His legs are just huge, strong, powerful lower half, especially in that groin area. But you just don't see the production from him, which is a little bit concerning. I mean, look at the rush numbers here. For as explosive as he is off the line, as quick he is out the ball, as big and powerful as he is, you'd like to see those sack numbers up a little bit. Just 1 last year, 3 the year before, and he had 10.5 sacks in 2022, but only 3.5 last year. So the production just doesn't match the skill set. That's a concern. But there's, again, a lot of tools here, a lot of things to work with Leonard Taylor. And yeah, I mean, one of the bigger names really down there at the East-West Shrine Bowl is him, and we'll see how he does in the game. Haven't heard much about him this week as far as how he's looking in practice, but again, a guy who at this point looks like more potential than any kind of meat and bones there, but a lot to like about his game and his body. You just maybe want to see a little more production when it comes to him. Let's go to the secondary now. Let's go to Dquon Hardy, the little corner from Penn State. He's like 5'8", 180 pounds. But this dude, he'll be up in your face. He's high energy. He battles the receivers right at the line of scrimmage. He'll come up, pop him in the face, pop him, get on him right away, and then he stays with them. I know he's not the biggest guy, which is concerning. He's not going to play on the outside. You look at him, you put him in the slot, maybe cover a tight end, cover the smaller, shiftier receiver. But you got to love this guy's fire. You got to love his passion. He doesn't have a ton of wowing stats. 22 tackles last year, 1 sack, 2 interceptions. But again, it's the 7 pass breakups. He's sticky in coverage. He's quick. He's fast. And he's willing to come up and hit. Doesn't always do a great job. But again, a guy maybe in the mid rounds, maybe day 3, he falls because of his size. Pick him up, plug him in there. And he's just one of these guys, like, maybe you find the next Duke Shelley here. Just this undersized, scrappy guy who's always going to battle, who's always going to play bigger than himself, bigger than his size. Dquon Hardy from Penn State. Some of the Vikings should at least look at. And again, maybe he falls down further because of his 5'8" height. Let's go to the last one, and probably the biggest and maybe the best prospect there at the East-West Shrine Bowl, and that is Utah edge Jonah Ellis. Look at that production from just a season ago: 37 tackles, 16 tackles for a loss, 12 sacks. That's what we're looking for. That is the edge guy that we need. Great bend, great dip, explosive off the snap, gets to the quarterback in a damn hurry. There is some concerns. He has had some injury issues in his career. You see some missed games there if you go back. So there's some, you got to make sure he's healthy, make sure there's no lingering long-term effects from those injuries that he had suffered. But shit, man, again, you want to find some explosive edge rushers in this draft. If you can't do it early, say you go D-tackle or maybe you go quarterback first. Again, this guy's probably a second round, third round pick. So if you don't take him at 42, which might be a little rich because he doesn't really have the long wingspan either, a little more of a compact of an edge rusher. Maybe you can trade back and find him late second round, early third round, or pick one of those up. But again, a guy who explodes off the ball. I think he's gonna have a great career in the NFL, and a guy I'm surprised hasn't been more about his performance yet, and a guy who should really show out in the game on Thursday night, which is tomorrow. So those are 5 defensive targets the Vikings should look at the East-West Shrine Bowl. Let me know who else you like, who else would make sense for our beloved Minnesota Vikings. Until then, keep your skull in your hole.